Staying with the full view, President Cyril Ramaphosa has wrapped up his visit in Accra, Ghana today. The president has been on a 2-day working visit in the West African country. Let's get more on this now. SABC News correspondent Nabil Ahmed is in Accra, Ghana and joins us now. A very good evening to you. Nabil, thanks indeed for your time. So take us through what happened today.
Well, Griselda, today the program for President Ramaphosa started in the morning where he laid a wreath in memory of Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, at the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum Park. Then he joined the Ghana-South Africa Business Forum where he made a presentation seeking to boost intra-African trade between Ghana and South Africa. Later after that, then he had a luncheon in his honor hosted by Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo. So briefly, that's what he did today. If you'd want me to go details on the business forum that he gave a speech on, then we can look at that as well.
Oh, absolutely. I was coming to that on how important this particular visit is, to Ghana. You spoke about boosting relations between the two countries, but how important is it that South Africa's president be there? He's been doing quite a number of things, including meeting with business, but the overall importance of him being there at this time.
Well, it's very important for Ghana for this particular visit by President Ramaphosa because South Africa is one of Ghana's largest foreign direct investors. So he coming here is going to further deepen the ties in terms of trade and investments between Ghana and South Africa. And as part of the visit, President Ramaphosa and Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo signed some bilateral agreements that will near to the benefit of both economies. For instance, we are looking at sectors such as the agriculture. We are looking at sectors including transport, gender, as well as migration. So it's really a big deal for Ghana to welcome President Ramaphosa in the country because it's going to benefit Ghana as well in terms of how Ghana does business with South Africa.
Absolutely. Trade and investment, something you've spoken about already. You did touch on it very briefly there. The issue of the movement of goods is also quite important, movement of goods and services at times that are very challenging, in particular when you look at the issue of immigration. Did the two leaders touch on this? I know you've already spoken about some agreements that have been signed, but was there any talk that you heard about that touched on with regard to the immigration challenges?
Well, indeed, at the press conference after they signed the bilateral agreement, they briefly talked about the fact that they've signed some agreement in terms of migration. They did not give further details to it, just to talk about trying to limit the stress people go through in getting visa to South Africa. Those details will be given subsequently, but then these are the indication that we are picking from the meeting that President Ramaphosa had with Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo, that indeed they are looking at lifting some kind of restrictions and difficulties that people face when they want to migrate to South Africa, and that has to do with visa. Now, talking about the trade as well, Ghana hosts the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, and it's something that came at the top towards the discussions between Ghana's President and Nana Akufo-Addo and then South Africa's President Ramaphosa. So they are looking at really working together to try and see how best they can open the borders and allow free movement of goods and services. So the intra-African trade that the Continental Free Trade Agreement seeks to achieve will be achieved despite the challenges that the world is facing with regard to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, one of the things that President Ramaphosa put across was the fact that it was unfair for the Western countries to actually place a ban on travel on South Africa and other southern African countries due to the outbreak and the new variant, that's the Omicron, that has been detected. He was like saying that it's actually unfair that something like this should happen at this particular time, and that Africa does not have to also go towards that direction by banning travel within the continent. So he has urged African countries not to follow the steps of these Western countries that have done that. He's saying that whilst Africa is trying to rebound its economy, looking at the vaccination situation, if countries within the continent are able to step up their vaccination rates, then there will not be any need for travel bans. And that's what he wants the president within the continent to be looking at the moment.
All right, SABC correspondent Nabil Ahmed in Accra, Ghana. And let's stay on that particular story now. We indicated a bit earlier on that the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, wrapping up his visit in Ghana. The president also visited Nigeria and Ivory Coast and, of course, headed to Ghana. The last stop will be Senegal. To unpack this West African tour, we're now joined by the SABC International News Editor Sophie Mokoena. Ms. Sophie, a very good evening to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So a four-nation tour at a time where the continent is dealing, with the challenges of this new variant, Omicron. How important was this West African engagement?
Well, the trip was quite important because when you look at the countries the president visited in West Africa, these are the countries that are very powerful in that region, particularly a country where he started, Nigeria, the number one economy on the continent. And therefore, it was quite important for him as the head of state. You know that President Muhammadu Buhari visited South Africa last year. And this time around, it was South Africa's turn to visit Nigeria, where the two leaders continued with their binational commission at the heads of state level to prove that they really take their relations seriously. And therefore, the issues of trade, investment, peace and security clearly were very high on the agenda. And then the visit to Ivory Coast is very, very strategic also. You are aware that much as Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire has experienced instability, political instability, some years ago that even prompted the former president of South Africa to intervene, and we saw the president of Ivory Coast being sent to The Hague. And South Africa playing a role to try and ensure that there's peace and security. And now there's relative stability in that country, but you still have tension simmering. You know that now former President Gbagbo is back. He has launched a party. And that country is likely to experience some challenges when they go to elections. But currently, it is doing very, very well economically. And I think South Africa needs these partners on the continent, and I think it speaks to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, where you focus on investing on the continent and build the regional integration.
Having said that, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, presents an important importance for countries to work together. Was this issue discussed during his four-nation tour?
Yes, every country he visited, it was anchored, the visit, in terms of trade and investment. How do you make sure that you implement the agreement and to ensure that you start the process of integrating the continent, countries working together? So starting from Nigeria, Ivory Coast, even Ghana, as we heard earlier on, Nabil talking about, even the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade Area is in Accra, and it's led by our own Wamkele Mene. And therefore, South Africa has to support that office to ensure that whatever is contained in that document, it is achieved, particularly because you know that when it was implemented and adopted last year, President Ramaphosa was the chair of the African Union, and therefore him spearheading the implementation and the adoption of this important agreement. And therefore, South Africa will have to lead by example. But also, I think the trip itself, he could have decided to abandon the trip when it emerged that we are now facing this new variant. But he didn't, because that was going to send a wrong message. While you are saying don't impose travel restrictions, you decide not to travel. And therefore, he had no choice but to continue with the trip. And I think even those countries were fearing that South Africa is likely to pull out of this four-nation tour. But the president took a decision that, no, he's going. I mean, in this day and age where you have technology, doesn't mean when you're outside the country you can't interact with your cabinet or people back in your country. There's technology. That is why I think the president of the United States of America, when he's out of the country, doesn't even leave a person who's acting in his capacity, because he's not incapacitated. And therefore, I think that was the approach the president took. And now he's in Senegal. He's going to address an important gathering on peace and security on the continent. Then fly back home. Immediately when he arrives home, he's going to convene the Command Council, and we expect some major announcements.
All right, we'll certainly be watching the remainder of that visit. Thank you very much indeed, SABC International News Editor Sophie Mokoena. Thanks indeed for your time. And indeed, the President is expected to return to the country and meet with the National Coronavirus Command Council. But in KwaZulu-Natal, the government there has